The truth is, writing is hard at all ages. It's hard for me as well, because the hardest part really is thinking. That's the hardest part of writing. Students need good mechanics, of course, but for most students, the biggest challenge in writing is knowing how to organize your thoughts. And when they're able to organize their ideas and structure their writing, the hardest part is done. That leaves more time and energy to focus on elements like grammar, mechanics, and style as they go through the next stages of the writing process. In fact, Natalie Wexler, who's an education journalist and author of The Knowledge Gap, says writing is 99% thinking and 1% writing. And I have found that to be very true in all my years in the classroom and in teaching writing. So that's where thinking maps come in. Thinking maps help students with the hardest part of writing, organizing their thoughts, thinking through what they want to say, and realizing the best way to say it. So writing involves many discrete tasks, and they all have to happen at once for fluent writing. There are the macro elements. This is figuring out what we want to say. Now that involves either recalling background knowledge we already have, processing new information provided, for example, in a response to text prompt, or a combination of the two. So I not only need to understand the information I am using or reacting to, but I have to be able to decide which information is important and how different pieces of information relate to each other. What is my main idea? What are the supporting details? What are the conclusions I want to present in the piece? Then I have to be able to use those ideas to pick the right structure for my writing and organize the piece for overall flow. So how am I leading my readers through the piece? How does my text structure support what I want to say? All of these tasks are part of the what end of the equation. So figuring out what I want to say. At the same time, there's a lot happening at the micro level. Everything from basic writing fluency with letter formation or keyboarding to vocabulary, word selection, to sentence structure and syntax, to overall grammar and mechanics, and even style choices. And these are all part of the how I want to say it. So with so many things happening at once, it's no wonder our students are frustrated when it comes to writing. The cognitive load of writing, figuring out both what I want to say and how to say it at the same time, is simply too demanding for many students. Now we see the impact of this in action. And this is a Thinking Map school, and it's Pace Brantley Preparatory School. I'm going to give you a little background because I think it's a great story. It's a private school for students with diagnosed learning disabilities. It's in Longwood, Florida, and they have consistent use of the maps, and they've helped their students in all academic areas. But when it comes to writing, they have introduced a dedicated map planning time at the beginning of their writing assessment. And that alone has significantly improved scores, just encouraging students to spend 15 minutes planning their writing before they write. This takes the pressure off figuring out what they want to say so they can focus on how to say it, frees up cognitive space for good writing, but it also reduces the anxiety students have around writing, which is another major issue that comes to having such a heavy cognitive load. So think about that, adding 15 minutes of thinking before we write and the impact that could have on our writing scores. It's not just about getting to the bottom of the page. The students need to begin with the end in mind. So the first challenge for students when facing a writing assignment is understanding the prompt. If I don't know what I'm supposed to do, I don't even know how to start the process. For fluent Thinking Map students, this process is easy and automatic. Students learn to look for keywords and phrases that tell them what kind of thinking they should be doing. For example, look at this. This is a prompt from the Oregon Practice Assessment for 6th grade. What kind of writing is it asking you to do? All right, let's look for the clues. I've got good and bad points. I have take a stand. I have convince others. Those keywords tell me that this is an argumentative or an opinion piece. Okay, so now I'm going to move to the processing. And the information gathering process may involve pulling information out of text provided to me, or I need to do research of my own to gather information from multiple sources, maybe including my own background knowledge. In any case, students need to have a structure for organizing that information as it is gathered. Many writing programs tell students to gather notes, I don't know, index cards, an outline. But the problem with these approaches is that it does not provide enough structure for students to figure out which information is important to answer the prompt. How do those different pieces of information relate to each other? Many students just simply gather information indiscriminately without thinking about the relative importance and hierarchy of the facts they are gathering. Thinking Maps provides the structure that they need to gather the information in that processing task.